Would you believe it, folks? Would you believe it? Guess who is on the other line of this podcast right now?
George Washington.
The next best thing. The next best thing to George
Steve
Washington.
Jobs. Steve Jobs? He's back?
The third best thing.
Oh, okay.
Is, next to George Washington and Steve Jobs is none other than Mickey Baines. Mickey, it's been months, my friend. How are you? You're still alive, so that's good.
Still alive. We've been through a nice summer break, into the fall break, and now we're ready to hit another season.
Have you been RVing at all this summer?
Not only have I been RVing throughout the summer, we were going 52 or 55 of 72 days in the summer. Different places. And, once we are done recording this a little later today, we'll be taking off for a weekend.
Okay.
Not too far away, just maybe 20 minutes from the house, but we've got like 6 other families joining us. We're all going to be camping for a weekend together and just living the fall and enjoying the weather.
Live in the fall.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome, man. I will never forget. You are the person who taught me what the word boondocking meant. And since then,
you've met the folks from Harvest Host.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I did.
Who lived the world, or whose clients lived the world of boondocking. I am a Harvest Host member, by the way. Hopefully, you gave me a shout out in that interview.
Oh, I should have. I gave my cousins a shout out because I knew that they, but I did feel like such a boss when I was talking to him, and because I used like the word like boondocking, like, and I just felt like so special. I was like, damn, like I'm in like the cool kids club. Like I know what this word means.
Did you use the term mooch docking?
No, please. What is that?
You don't mooch dock it with Harvest Host, but mooch docking is basically when you go to someone's home that you know and you mooch off their power. You just park and take their power. That's mooch docking. So that's what you do with friends that let you park the RV at their house.
I thought you were gonna say it's with people that you don't know, and you just go and you just like steal people's power.
No. So there, what is the Boondockers Welcome? And I think, yep. So Harvest Host owns that now.
Them, yeah.
And so that's Boondockers Welcome, where you go instead of saying it like a winery or a museum, or you can say it's someone's house. And in those areas, more often you can actually get power. You can pay them like $5 or $10, and they'll let you hook up to power and maybe water. Which, if in the summertime, which is why I don't use Harvest Host in the summertime, because if we're down south, even if we're not down south, I need AC, and most of the Harvest Host locations don't give you power. And if you don't have solar a substantial amount, or have that generator functioning, you will not have enough power to run AC. And you can't be in 85 plus degrees and not have AC in one of those RVs. I mean, they're boxes that just suck in heat. So
Well,
how about that?
As much
I was like, I can't believe he interviewed the guys from Harvest Host. They're awesome.
Yeah, he was a fun guy. He was a super dynamic character, and Joel Holland is his name. Yeah. Very, very cool stuff. Well, as much as we love talking about RVs and camping, that isn't like the core. Let's transition to the core. So we should transition to the core, and actually, we have a special guest to introduce who's going to become much more than a guest, but is actually going to help take over the hosting of this wonderful series, this wonderful segment with Mickey, and that is none other than Shane Keel. Welcome, Shane Keel, to Fanatical Fridays.
Hello. I already feel unqualified. I know nothing about RVing. I have no idea what Harvest Host is. I thought that was going to be a bread company. So I'm super excited for the learning that's about to happen. I think it'll be Mickey talks 99% of the time, and I'll say hi at the beginning, and that'll be an episode.
Oh, no, you're going to get to talk more than that. We're going to put you on the spot early on. I'm just going to tell you, give you a heads up. It's coming. Just to count on time to have you start chiming in. But and you're going to get lots of opportunity to learn about RVing. Maybe we'll even entice you to try it.
We'll see.
There you go.
Camping is probably last on my priority list for the year. So
it's not.
Well,
camping,
the season's winding down. The season's winding down. And there's camping, what some people have in their mind, and then there's what we do It's still called camping, but it's not like bare bones. It's not tents. It's not pop up RVs. It's real dumb. I sometimes call our RV the Marriott. So, right.
Expectations are high.
What do you call her other times? Sorry.
Home away from home.
Home away from home.
Yeah, a lot of. Well, it's not a family accepted name. Some people name their rigs, and we haven't really found a name that we all agree to. I like the Marriott because she's nicer than one. So
there you go.
There we go.
Better than a Marriott.
Yes.
Well, for those who don't know, Shane Keel is in Rollify's Chief Entertainment Officer. Chief Edutainment. Sorry, you know what? I've messed that up 4 times in the past week. I keep saying entertainment.
It be a quippy, funny title, and I feel like it ends up just being a mouthful that nobody remembers and gets butchered. But
maybe we should just change it. Like, what's wrong with Chief Entertainment? We were trying to be all fancy with edutainment, and I just don't think it's working.
Yeah. Either's accepted.
From a pronunciation standpoint, it's not.
Yeah.
We're not quite there yet.
I'm also just bad with words.
Just say CEO.
Just say CEO. Yeah, there we go. CEO, the CEO of Rollify. And Shane works a lot, or has historically worked a lot behind the scenes on our content production, our programming, working with team members to ensure that we're coming up with new shows, new series, etc. And now he's taking a stab at kind of coming out, onto a real pod, and he'll be co-hosting this segment, as I mentioned before, from here on out with Mickey. Mickey, I know that you wanted to kind of quickly put Shane on the spot and just ask him questions about things he wants to talk about or cover over the next several episodes. And then I think you had some ideas as well.
Yeah. So Shane, we're going to put you on the spot. We're going to let you kind of pick our topics that we'll dive into over the next few weeks. And then I think we'll let everybody know what's coming up, what to be listening and watching for. Mm-hmm. And it'll give me some topics to be sure I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
So what's on your list? What's on your mind, Shane?
Yeah, I think two big ones, just from a tactical standpoint, are chatbots and texting. I think those are both things, just from what I think we're hearing from people, that seems to be a little not confusing in that they know what they are, but how to best make them work for their institution, their size. There's kind of a lot of factors at play, and chatbots are obviously super flexible. Texting is, becoming more flexible in the ways that you can use them. So chatting through what those could potentially look like for different types of institutions, I think would be super helpful. I love themes whenever there's a chance to tie in a theme. So I feel like thinking about like prime pumpkin spice latte season. What is your school's pumpkin spice latte? What is something that you can kind of pull on once a year only, but it's a winner every time, but it's not something you can have year round, because then it loses its value. So what's your school's pumpkin spice?
So the one time, meaning the 6 months of the year that we can get our pumpkin spice.
Yeah, it's not a big deal for 6 months a year. Come Christmas, if you're not getting the
peppermint mocha, the peppermint mocha
at Starbucks. December 1, pumpkin spice latte goes out the window. You're onto your peppermint.
See, now I will say I actually hold on to my pumpkin spice. I look for it to come out in the fall, and I will use it until February when they take it away. I do. I love a pumpkin spice. And I will tell you, my purchase at Starbucks dropped dramatically once pumpkin spice goes away. Huh. But I get the theme. What are your hits?
I like that.
Right.
What am I?
Do you think about PSL like that strategy, Shane, being like something that would happen within like a recruitment season? Like, hey, every year, for our October events, we do like a Halloween spooky random open house theme, or like what? How do you see that like fleshed out with respect to kind of a recruitment campaign?
Yeah, I think it should be ideally something that's maybe a little more unconventional. Not that pumpkin spice latte is unconventional, but it's new, it's unique. Ideally, it feels right for the time of year, but it's not something like, oh, our fall open house is our pumpkin spice latte because it works really well and gets us lots of students. It's like, well, yeah, but you've always done that. You'll always probably do that. And pretty much everybody does that. But what's something that's unique to you that you all can pull off? I'm trying to think of one, even just like off the top of my head.
So here's one, and again, this is not going to be unique, but it's not something every school does. So some schools will have an event for high school counselors on their campus once a year. And it's like an open house just for them, so that they can see and experience the campus, what this prospective student sees. They can hear more about the changes in programs and get to see and really understand what makes that institution special and different from others. And so we're going to wine and dine you. You're going to come in, you're going to have some lunch. We're going to give you some swag. We're going to let you meet the president, the VP, and all this kind of stuff, just like you were a very special prospective student. And they might have something like that. And from that, I know some schools that do it. And that have done it not forever, but for 4 or 5 years, and they have steadily seen numbers of students coming from those schools that attend every year increase. We've also heard comments from folks, from our clients, that when they brought some folks on saying, "This is the first time I've been on this campus in 10 years. It's wow, what a difference. All these buildings, I didn't think it looked like this. I didn't think I would feel like this on the campus." It changed their perception, and that changes their likelihood of sending students their way.
Yeah, that's brilliant.
There's your pumpkin spice.
Cool. Yeah.
Next episode. So now we know I've used that example. So when we hit that topic, I've got to come up with another set of examples.
Yeah. Digging yourself in work.
Yep.
I like the framing though a lot of like, what is something, because I feel like higher ed is so cyclical, and we tend to just kind of like do the same things over and over and over. And it's one thing to be like, what is the theme of this particular open house? It's another thing to think about what is something that we could do and almost like develop a reputation for, like once a year, this kind of thing happens during, recruitment season. And then it goes away, and then you got to wait again until, the following year to see it. So I like that. That'd be a fun brainstorm.
So there are those moments, but there are other moments in the year. So you have Black Friday, but you also have Cyber Monday, and some of those moments. So just like pumpkin spice, but then you have the peppermint mocha. So there are seasonal moments you might have. There might be one that peaks. Peppermint mocha doesn't sell like pumpkin spice, right? So Cyber Monday, maybe it does better than Black Friday now. I don't think it does yet. At some point it will, but you still got your marquee moment, but you have other key moments throughout your enrollment cycle. So you've got an open house. You're going to have, that's not a unicorn, obviously, but it is a marquee event. Each campus has one. What are the other marquee events that maybe not that big, but are also very crucial to your enrollment process, to that recruitment process? What are those? And let's talk about different ideas for those.
You know what? I love that. Circling back to your other topic, Shane, too, on chatbots, I think one of the things that would be super cool for you guys to do, and maybe selfishly I could like join for this episode, or something like that.
Here we go. You can't let go. You can't let go.
You can't let go. No, or I'll just watch. But almost doing like and we might have to be a little careful here. But I'm thinking like a throwdown of like helping folks, like almost like rating the different chatbots that are on the market, and talking about like, hey, which ones are good, which ones are good for you if you find yourself in this context versus better for you if you find yourself in a different context. Because one of the biggest things, actually, from just a search volume standpoint, on Chatter and Rollify's review site, we get a lot of people looking specifically for chatbots, and like we rank, I think Rollify ranks like number 1 for higher ed chatbots, or reviews on higher ed chatbots or something like that. And so there is a lot of like search volume around trying to figure this out. So I think it would be a super interesting episode to maybe go, and it would require probably a little bit of like prep ahead of time, but talking to folks, customers of each of these chatbots, and almost kind of like unveiling like a, from Fanatical Friday's opinion, these are the best chatbots for you if you work in these contexts.
And we can do that, and I think we can probably do that in other use cases as well. I think SMS, for example. So one of the things that I've done at my company, and I can't say our team, we've done that with SMS, that feature set comparison. How do they differ? And we can look at that, and then so we can do that chatbots. We can do that SMS. And the other thing I would throw in there, to an extent for SMS, but I think people understand that a little better. But with chatbots, what are the components to actually turning this on and making it actually work for you, work for you, and provide value? Because there are components to setting this up and getting it done right. Some of those feature sets will be a part of the chatbots you're looking at. Some of them won't. We've got clients, for example, who have chatbots on the site, but none of that data of the chat that's actually occurring is in the CRM. We don't know what students are, which ones of them are actually engaging with it. Someone on the back end might see it, but they're not bringing it into the CRM. Well, there are campaigns and communication that you can build on that and communicate with folks, automate other communications with them based on that. So let's talk a little bit about that components and what does it actually take to effectively get one turned on and have it really work for you? Because we've done this with several clients, and their level of understanding and knowledge when they start the process has been widely different. And just like you're seeing, Zach, in terms of people, the search volume is there. The knowledge base of how this works and how it can work for you is also very wide. And let's try to narrow that gap a little bit.
Yeah. I feel like, Zach, we've even had numerous conversations with people that every time they hear chatbot, they just think, well, we don't have somebody that can sit there 24/7. We don't have a call center. We don't have, and it's like, that's not the extent of chatbot.
We didn't, what's the difference between live chat and chatbot?
Yeah. And automation and some of the big sticky points are like the handoff and when does it go from automation to, live chat. And those are things. It's
perfect.
It's crazy. Some people just,
So I think those are some great topics. Those are 3 right there to get us started going into the fall as we get ready to move into the winter, really. I think those are awesome.
Perfect.
I'm looking forward to these conversations.
Let's flip this on its head a tiny bit. I'll put you on the spot.
Well, I've got a little bit of a content I want to throw out today. I'm not going to schedule this for later. I want to do it now. We've got time. Let's do this. Let's talk about bullets versus cannonballs. Shane, I gave you a heads up. I want to talk about this. I didn't tell you what I want to talk about other than bullets and cannonballs. And this is a concept I'm stealing from Jim Collins, from his book, BE 2.0, Beyond Entrepreneurship. That's a book that he wrote with one of his mentors in the 90s, like it's long ago. And last year or year, somewhere 21 or 22, 21, he rewrote that or came out with a new edition of that. And while keeping the original content, added in sections of Jim's view from 2020. So we can really look at how that's changed. And if you don't know Jim Collins, you maybe have heard the book Good to Great. That was, I think, the one that really propelled him forward. Although he's got books all around that cycle of from Good to Great. He's got Built to Last was actually written before Good to Great, and that's really taking those great companies and making them built to last. But aside from that, let's talk about bullets and cannonballs. And it's thinking about how you expend your dollars and resources for new things. And if you are in the 1800s and you're on this old wooden battleship and you've got enough gunpowder to light this one cannonball, what happens if you expend that gunpowder on that one cannonball and miss with another ship coming right at you? You're done. You don't have any other options. But what the successful companies are doing, they're not spitting their gunpowder on that cannonball. They're taking a little bit of gunpowder and they're firing a bullet so that they can see the trajectory. They can see if it's going left, if it's going right. They can see how fast the other ship's coming towards them until they go bullet, 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 hit. We hit it. And once they've got that, then they take the rest of the gunpowder for that cannonball to go and fire and hit. It saves you from the big misses. And what we see so often are deans, directors, VPs afraid to spend dollars on this new initiative because it's going to take a lot of money. And that's a lot of risk. And if they don't hit, they've lost it all. And so what we would recommend is, how do you find the bullets versus the cannonball? How do you take this concept that you're interested in but not so sure about yet? And it doesn't have to be even brand new ones, because Zach, this is where I want to tie it into you, because you look at what you're doing at DD and Enrollify. If you start talking about inbound marketing, it's been around forever in other industries, and it's been around forever in higher ed, but not everyone has always gotten it. And it's, how do we convince folks that this really is the right way to go? And I'm saying here, it is the right way to go, but it's a risk because it's not cheap and you can't do it. So what are, for inbound, as an example, for taking that approach, shifting the way you communicate and you draw interest in, what are the bullets? And that's real key. If you can find the bullets, and I'll say this to you as the person who's presenting to schools, if you're presenting bullets versus cannonballs, you got better shots at winning. Because then you can also show them the proof in the pudding and the wins with smaller wins because they're bullets, but then they move from bullets to cannonballs.
Yeah.
We've done that so often, from a technological standpoint, when we're looking with clients, I can't tell you the number of institutions that come to us because other companies don't want to work with them because they only have a few $1,000s to spend. If it's not six figures, we don't touch it. Or if it's not 50,000, we won't touch it. Other firms. And this is a reverse issue that you're having, but we'll take a $2,500 or $3,000 system update and help that client get there because that client just paid me to market to them and show them what we can do. We demonstrated our knowledge set, what we can do. And I will tell you 100% of those clients have come back for other work.
That's amazing. Yeah.
And it's not $3,000 work. And now it's not six figures. That those schools don't have that amount. But when you think about growing your client base, when you think about building that up, it's the same thing on the reverse side. If you have 100,000, you're not likely going to want to say, hey, I'm going to take that instead of spending on this thing that's not lit the world on fire, but has helped me meet my enrollment goal every year for the past 10 years. It's dwindling a little bit every year, but it still is the key to get me to my enrollment goal. You don't want to give that up.
Yeah.
That's a big risk. But how can I take a smaller piece of the pie for a bullet to show the bullet's ROI compared to the dwindling piece so that maybe not in one more year, but it could be 5 more years, that one bullet becomes 2 bullets, becomes 5 bullets, 10 bullets, the cannonball. And that's how.
I love you, Mickey. You're the best.
But that's what we need, folks, to do. We need you taking some of those dollars and resources to test and try.
Yeah.
Because if you don't, it's the same old, same old. And the same old is a little smaller every year.
Yeah.
And we can't handle smaller every year because at some point, if anything drastic happens, that little bit smaller becomes a lot smaller, and you can't make that up.
It's funny. I want to hear what Shane thinks about this, but one thing that this just reminds me of, Mickey, is I put out this, I think it was a LinkedIn post or something a little while ago, but talking about like how one of the questions we get are folks who listen to Enrollify content, like they'll write in and they'll talk about, like, we talk a lot about content strategy, right? We talk a lot about SEO, and they'll be like, oh, well, like, where do I know, to start here? Like, how do I know where to start here? And I can't, effectively increase SEO across my program portfolio of 100 programs, right, within a year's period of time. Well, so how do I know like where to start? And one of the things, that I kind of threw out as just one idea of where someone could start is if you want to sort of like validate a content idea and you're like, this is something that like I think people might be interested in, or this is a new program we're offering, or this is a new spin on a program that we're offering. Using a platform like TikTok or Instagram Reels or something that has a viral component to it. It's easier to go viral on these platforms than it is, for example, to publish a blog post, and testing out, right, a couple of content ideas there. And if they take off, or the one that does take off, that's probably like an interesting place for you to do a little bit more work in digging in and thinking, hey, maybe this particular topic for this particular new program is actually where we should spend our time, the little time that we do have on content strategy and SEO work, because we know that the topic is at least interesting to our audience, which is on Instagram or TikTok. And so I love I think that's like maybe one example of what it could look like to fire with a bullet, right? And then follow that up with, all right, now over the next 12 months, we're really going to focus our content strategy on, topic A.
And the bullets don't always have to represent dollars. They can represent time.
Yeah.
Because we also, 100%. Some institutions are able to do some of these things in-house, but they don't have the time to do it. And if it's rewriting content, using a different platform, how do we find the bullets rather than the cannonballs? And that's how you begin to shift.
Yeah, I feel like on the email front, the digital ad front, it's all about that time, maybe not even dollars. I think some people maybe take the approach of, well, I only have $500 for this ad, like I'm just going to throw it out there, rather than trying to be super intentional with the ad copy and maybe not leading with like, the number of apply now, this is our deadline date, you see, and it's like, all right, that's not enticing me to do anything. spend more time trying to be creative, come up with something that's compelling, show unique value prop, whatever. Add more personalization to emails, detail why this might be a good fit for this person, segment more so that you can become more personalized. Fire those bullets off, see which one kind of resonate with people the most.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have even decent software, you can track how all of those performed, compare that to your averages that you've built up over years, and then determine where you should put more time and emphasis. Same thing going back to your SEO point, Zach, of like, you have all these program pages. It might not even be the best starting point, might not even be additional content, but go tweak keywords and copy on a program page. Pick one, run it through, Google scraper, determine what keywords you could potentially rank for, make some augmentations, and then kind of measure that over time. If that works, move on to your next program. And you're kind of working through a system there rather than, oh, let me just try this new thing because it's a new thing. Hopefully it works out for me. And again, take that approach. And I think it's hard for people to then argue with like, I don't think that's worth our time. And it's like, have you seen the increases we've seen because of these changes? Makes it probably a little bit more easier of a fight too for somebody that wants to do those types of things or wants to be a little more creative with their time. You're almost justifying why you should shift your role slightly to focus on these, newer, cooler, more exciting things that also have value, from a marketing and admission standpoint.
Yep.
Yeah, love that. I love that. Another thing that just came to mind, I think that there's this trap that we can fall into mentally, thinking that being a little bit more creative is just, I can't afford that time, right? Like you're saying, Shane, and in reality, it's like sometimes this can be as simple as like stepping away for like a second, being like, all right, I have 3 minutes. Is there anything I could do in 3 minutes to make this slightly more engaging? And simply asking that question, right, will at least yield a different result, because you'll probably go and you'll change like one or two things, right? Like, and best case scenario, it performs better. Worst case scenario, you spent 3 additional minutes working on something, and now you know what, hey, maybe this approach, isn't that great. That could be the decision, like as simple as like whether or not you include an emoji in a subject line, or whether or not you instead of opening with a "Hey Shane," you just drop the personalization to begin with at the offset, and then you include Shane's name like halfway down the email, right? So as he's quickly skimming, he sees his name, and then he's drawn into, okay, what's going on in the copy here. And those I think are the really, really like, small, potentially wonderfully impactful things that can happen when you spend literally 2 or 3 additional minutes thinking about it.
Yeah. Mickey, I'm curious what you think about, firing all these bullets. When do you know, right? You get your hit. Well, what's the hit? How do you know it's a hit? Is one more lead? Is 51 versus 50 a hit, or is that just some dumb luck?
I think it depends on right. So we want to know if it's dumb luck, but I think it depends on the area where we're finding. But when we talk about marketing, we're talking about efficiencies, it changes in role and putting more time into something. But I think the key is saying, okay, what is a strike? When we land it, what does that mean? And if it's, I need to generate more leads because I just keep working with this same company to buy leads every year and they're fewer, or I'm converting less. So if it's fewer leads, I need more. Maybe I've got the same number of leads, but they're converting less. And so now I need to think about conversion. And so what is that ultimate goal we're solving for? What is that bullet meant to do? What does it mean to land? And once we know conversion, or once we know just in quantity, I'm trying to increase quantity. If that's what it is, then okay, let's look at what I'm spending. What is that ROI value of what I get from this purchase versus this other avenue? And it's not necessarily to say it has to outperform by X percent. Is how does it even compare? Because sometimes if it's your first shot versus your 10th shot, you should be much closer after 9 other shots than you're in your first one. And so it's not saying it has to perform as well, but if it performs, you throw 1/10 of your money and you get 0 leads from it, or 5% or 2% leads that you need rather than 10 to 15% leads from it, then you got to think about, what was that the right bullet? And I'm way off course. I've got to shift. And I think the key is that, you've got that measurement point, something to look at, and then whether or not to shift what you did, tweak it, or you need to do something vastly different.
Yeah. I think that's a good thing for people to keep in mind also, because, on the extremes, maybe you've never done digital advertising, you start doing digital advertising.
Correct.
your first ad is not going to just blow up and you're going to get,
it's going to stink.
Right. Yeah. And you also just need to start building some of that awareness with the same target audience, and they need to see that ad numerous times and variations of that ad. It's not like they're going to see an ad for the very first time and be like, I'm enrolling in this.
And so I'm the type of person, if I'm doing that for the first time, I'm not paying somebody else. I'm doing it myself. I want to experience. I want to see. I want to know what type of work it takes to do, so that I have a better idea of how to assess when I outsource it. And I'll look at that. If that's not you and you're outsourcing first, the key is understanding that you have aligned expectations, because what you might have in your mind that you're going to get from this might be very different from what the other person, whether that's the same number that you're going to get in return, or whether what a return is. If it's a higher conversion rate or a larger quantity, those are two different things. And a lot of times agencies might be thinking that you need more leads, not more conversions. And if you don't go in with that agreement in place, what they're designing may not give you the outcome that you're expecting. And you might say, oh, that was a bad bullet. No. You just didn't have the same type of bullet you were talking about. And that's really, I think, key. And that's where that measurement, and it's not just waiting to the end to do that measurement. What is it you're measuring? What is it you need to know and measure before you fire the bullet, so then you can really assess that? Perfect. Great episode.
Perfect. You guys are
great
wonderful.
Episode to knock it out of the park first time, Shane. Awesome.
I like to set the bar high so I can underwhelm from then on out.
No,
well, it's been a privilege, everybody, and I'm leaving you in great hands. And Mickey, we're just gonna have to find other excuses to get together now.
Other episodes. You only have 32 podcasts, so I think we can find other ways. Guest appearances, have you back. I can pop into some of your others. We'll find ways.
Good.
You can do one at the Marriott.
That's right.
There we go.
Hold the Marriott. In Alexandria? Is that where are you?
I'm in Northeast DC right now.
Northeast.
But hey, we're still all over the place, so we can meet
Northeast
wherever.
DC is a little tight. It's different. For a 43-foot RV. You can't just willy-nilly pull into some areas in DC and expect to fit.
That's true. That's true. We'll have to meet in like a Walmart parking lot or something like that.
Well, that's it. Yes, you can boondock in some, not all, but some. Well, Zach, good to see you to kick off this season. Shane, I'm really looking forward to these next episodes as we dive into chatbots, we dive into SMS, and our pumpkin spice lattes.
Can't wait.
Yep. Until then, thanks everybody for listening.